In order to correct and build swimming strokes, the coach must understand some of the principles of decreasing resistance, maintaining stroke rate, and the importance of kicking.
Hi, I'm Russell Mark, and as the National Team Biomechanics Coordinator, my role is to study swimming technique and constantly talk to coaches and athletes about the most efficient techniques and how to improve. The continued success of a swimmer depends on stroke technique basics learned by the swimmer and reinforced by the coach. As demonstrated in these videos, the most streamlined position is with the ears just slightly above the arms and the arms squeezed as tightly as possible. Just the position of the head being above or below the arms and not in between greatly increases drag and can slow a swimmer down. The back and legs of the swimmer are in a tight line as well, allowing the swimmer to move through the water as efficiently as possible. Second, a swimmer must balance his or her upper and lower body in the water so that both are perfectly horizontal, the optimal position for fast swimming. Again, the head position is absolutely critical to minimizing drag. Picture the swimmer's body like a seesaw in the water. A head position that is too high will make a swimmer's hips and legs be too far below the surface. Lowering the head will help raise the hips and legs so that they are at the surface of the water. In addition to decreasing drag and resistance, a swimmer must increase propulsion. This is not necessarily about kicking harder or moving the arms faster. It's mostly about increasing stroke efficiency through proper technique. You can help athletes improve stroke efficiency by teaching them to monitor and maintain distance per stroke and stroke rates.
Today I'm going to take a little time to talk to you about stroke rate and distance per stroke. So I've sort of put it on the board here in that which you have to understand in swimming. How many people are really like math? How many hate math? See a bigger, right? Unfortunately, swimming is math. You might not think of it that way, but it is. And the math of swimming is the fact that you have two elements as a part of racing that are extremely intertwined. They're Siamese twins, and they're stroke rate and distance per stroke. They're the major components in a 50 meter length of the pool, in that you might push off the wall and surface after 5 meters and start swimming. And essentially you're going to swim 45 meters, which is a huge chunk of time in your race that involves stroke rate and distance per stroke. In this case, 45 meters, approximately 18 cycles. How far you go every time you put your hand in the water, whether you're swimming fly or breaststroke or free or back, how far you can travel every time you put your hand in the water is really important. How fast you turn your arms over is really important. And understanding how they work together is critical. To give you an idea, stroke rate, if you can adjust your stroke rate by 0.03 of a second, so just a tiny bit, 0.03, over 50 meters, it can impact your time up to 0.4 of a second. Over 200 race can impact time 1.5 seconds. If you're able to increase your distance per stroke by 1 inch, just 1 inch, not much, it can have almost the same impact in terms of time, up to 0.4, depending on how many strokes you're taking. So improving by 1 inch, again over 200 meters, could impact your time by 1.5 seconds. So this kind of relationship, this Siamese twin yin-yang kind of relationship, is important because we all know if you just get in the water, you just start wailing away with a stroke rate that's out of control, what's your distance per stroke going to be like? Pretty much zero, right? But if you get out there and you get out just like a chameleon in the animal world, and you start taking these really slow stroke rates, how fast are you going to go? Not really fast, right? So you have to figure out, each person is a little different. You know, people don't come in the same shape and size. You're tall, short, you know, different shapes and sizes. And so it's sort of going to be unique to you. Just a brief explanation is so you understand what it is. When people take stroke rate, the easiest way to take stroke rate is just to time it. Just to time 10 cycles. So if a swimmer's out there in the pool and you start your watch and you time 10 cycles and you stop your watch, you have a time for 10 cycles. How do you get it to 1 cycle? What? Just move the decimal, right? Divide by 10. Makes it easy. If you can't get 10, do 5. And then what do? Multiply it by 2. You start your watch on the first right arm or first entry that you see, and then you count 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10 and stop at 10, and then look at the watch. And do that for every lap. And then take that information and measure it versus some of the best people in the world. Find out where you stand versus the number of strokes they take and the stroke rate, and you'll find that there's that relationship between the two. Your goal as a swimmer is to be able to adapt to swimming, say, 50 meters at X cycle rate with X distance per cycle. And when you achieve that perfectly, you set your goal time or you achieve your goal time. So becoming conscious of technique, becoming conscious of efficiency, becoming conscious of how many strokes you take per lap relates very directly to what you're going to do in the water one day. Start on his right arm entry. So start, 1 cycle, 2 cycles, 3 cycles, 4 cycles, and 5 cycles. Again, a little slower on the second lap. 11.34 times 2 to get it to 10, 22.68, which is 2.26 or 2.27 seconds per cycle. You take your stroke rate, let him settle in. I'm going to start on the next right arm. So start, 1 cycle, 2 cycles, 3 cycles, 4 cycles, stop. Stroke rate was 11.56, which is going to be 23.12, so 2.31 seconds per cycle. The instruction was to come back swimming faster, so we'll see how much it changes his stroke rate. In this case, you see he's changed his stroke rate. I'm going to start, 1 cycle, 2 cycles, 3 cycles, 4, and stop, 8.6, 1.72 per cycle.
Well, I think kicking is essential for stroke development. It is something that we kind of build all of our strokes from the feet forward, so to speak. To us, it's the strength of the kick has so much to do with the body position, and the body position is essential for just getting through the water with as little drag as possible. So we're just kind of setting everything up from the back. So we work on the kick and all the strokes, helping our body position, and then it just leaves the arms out there for the purpose of forward propulsion. Well, there's a lot of ways that you can bring kicking into your program, realizing that it's going to take a little bit more time than swimming, so you have to be dedicated to it. Excuse me, and it's something that you need to make sure that you're consistent with. So in order to do that, it has to be a part of your weekly plan. You have to stick to it, and it's just a gradual thing. Obviously, you don't want to hurt anyone. It's just a gradual build-up that you're working with your younger kids, and as they get better at it, you can add some volume to it. But make sure that they're doing it the right way before you do that and build it up gradually. When we kick, we use all sorts of different equipment. We'll use kick boards, we'll use fins, we'll kick on our back, we'll kick on our side, we'll do various things. So don't be afraid to use, we use snorkels quite a bit, just keeping the kids in the streamline position. So when you're doing it, there's all sorts of opportunities and all sorts of things that you can do, and depending on the strength of their legs, fins are so good to help them keep their body position and keep it longer, so you can just sort of just see where they are, know that whatever situation, whatever stage they are in with their leg strength, you can always add equipment, take away equipment, do various things in order to just help them be better. Well, I think for age groupers, and when I say age groupers, I mean kids that are 8 and under, 10 and under, 12 and under, there certainly should be kicking every single day in order to be consistent enough to make their kicking get better. Now, as they progress in age, you can add volume to it, and by maybe taking a couple of practices a week where you specifically use a higher percentage of your practice dedicated to kicking. And that way you take the volume up, which increases the strength and builds the endurance. And I think that that's a great way to just sort of work up in a slow way, but a very dedicated way to improving by just picking out a couple of practices and upping the volume.
Hi, my name's John Leonard. I work for the American Swimming Coaches Association in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I've been coaching now for 37 years, and I truly believe that one of the most rewarding as well as entertaining parts of all of coaching is coaching novice swimmers. When I coach novice swimmers every day, I am teaching strokes to those athletes. When I'm teaching, I'm using drills on a constant basis as one of the most effective ways to do teaching. There are a couple of keys to doing a great job with teaching with drills. First of all, the athlete needs to understand the purpose of the drill. Second, the athlete needs to understand that doing the drill correctly, 100% correctly, is an important part of learning. And the third thing they need to understand is that drills are the things that are going to get you the technique that you need to have a long and successful career in swimming. Parents as well as swimmers need to understand that swimming is a technique-limited sport, and doing endless yards with poor technique just creates bad habits. We want, as novice coaches, to be able to make sure we're giving our athletes great techniques from the first day they come on our pool deck. That's what we're going to focus on today. When we're teaching novice athletes, this is important to understand how to teach as what to teach. We use a four-part process when we're teaching. First of all, we'll get a great demonstration. If we have a 10-year-old who can do the strokes well, we'll have the 10-year-old demonstrate to the 8-year-olds so that they can see what the whole stroke looks like, because most of our young people today are great visual learners. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to explain to them not only what they're going to do, but what level of quality we want them to do it at. The third thing we're going to do is lots of repetitions. We're going to spend a lot of time, perhaps even in a 12.5-yard pool, getting many repetitions of the same drill, and at the same time we're going to include the fourth important teaching point, which is feedback. I'm going to give feedback to my athletes every single time they go down that 12.5-yard pool, and if they need to understand something better, they're going to give me feedback about what they understand and what they don't understand. So demonstration, explanation, repetition, and feedback are the four keys to successful teaching. When you're ready to teach, you want to be thinking about how to organize your group for the most effective possible teaching. Start with what size group to teach with. I always prefer to teach with the smallest possible group and also have that group be homogeneous. If they're starting with similar skills, it's a lot easier to move smoothly through the teaching progression. Speaking of teaching progressions, we always want to make sure that we are teaching from the known to the unknown. We don't want to start with something unknown and then add another unknown on top of it. So always teaching from known skills to moving into the new skills that we're going to teach. We want to make sure we get plenty of opportunity to repeat the skills over and over until we can hone them and get them done correctly. We're going to break the skills apart into small pieces so they can learn each piece correctly, and then always making sure to take those pieces and put them back together into a coherent whole. The last thing to think about is we want to make sure that the athletes have a chance to ask questions and get answers from you. And one of the things I like to do is connect the verbal and the physical and make sure they know the language of each stroke, so when they come into the wall on each repeat, I can give them just a word or two and they'll understand what they need to improve on and work on. So that verbal-physical connection is an important part of teaching. Those are the big skills that we need to work on whenever we're going to be teaching new groups. In freestyle, there are four main things we want to concentrate on. Each of them are very important to the stroke. The first being that we want to have the body line be as long as possible in nice straight lines, and with the body primarily on its side as it goes through its rotation. Every time they're in that flat spot, that's the most resistant position they have, where they are belly side down, back side up. We're trying to stay out of that position and spend as much time as possible on the side. The second thing we want to work on is the body balance. We want to get as much weight as possible in front of the center of buoyancy, which is located right here in our lungs. Get as much weight as possible in front of that so our hips will rise more easily. There's two ways to keep the back end of your body up in the water. First is kicking. If you have to use the energy and heartbeats to keep those legs up during the kicking, you don't have those same heartbeats to help you go forward. So we want to have the hips stay up with body position rather than with kicking. The third thing we're very concerned about in freestyle is the breathing mechanism and making sure that someone isn't lifting their head so they've got water hitting them in the side of the head. And you'll see that flaw in everything from novice swimmers all the way up through people at the Olympic trials. When swimmers get tired, they tend to lift their head because our need as human beings is so strong to get our next breath. What we want to try and do is make sure that our novice swimmers right in the beginning learn to breathe with water hitting them on the crown of the head and rolling to breathe rather than lifting their head. The last thing we want to concentrate is actually a propulsive mechanism, and that is we want to make sure we're getting the forearm and the hand on the water as early in the stroke as possible, fingertips down, elbows up. So those are our four key considerations when we're teaching freestyle to novice swimmers. Okay, ladies, we're going to work on freestyle kicking right now, getting your body in the right position. So when we're swimming, we've got the back of the head lined up with your spine. So Kayla, turn around here a second. All right, here's your spine right down here. Here's the back of your head. We want a nice straight line down here. So when we're kicking in this position, you want the ear inside the shoulder, this arm nice and straight. Don't tilt the head off the spine line. Keep it right on the spine line, right up in here and stretching. Okay, so you're going to be kicking in that position. All right, we'll either do 12 kick switch or 6 kick switch. All right. Now the purpose of this drill is to get the idea of getting on their side, kicking on their side, and minimal body roll to breathe, trying to hide the breathing. Kayla's doing a pretty good job of this. She's got her head lined up so her ear is right inside of her shoulder joint, and she's keeping it there and she's staying on her side. Notice that the non-working arm is the arm that's laying down along the leg. Now with every drill, there's lots of pieces you can put into it and work on particular parts. In this case, we're just breathing, or just kicking on the one side, and she's breathing to the one side. You can also change this drill so you can take X number of kicks and then switch to the other side. Lots of things you can do with it, but the idea is to keep the head in line with the spine. Now the key point in this drill where we're doing 12 kick switch is to start working and coordinating the hand and the hip motion. When she switches from the hip first. The hip moves before the hand starts to catch and pull backwards. Exact same drill, all we're doing is adding the switch so she starts to work on the timing of her hip. This next drill we're going to do is the most difficult drill you're going to do in your whole life, okay? It's called sailboat drill, and what we're going to use it for is to work on getting the idea of getting weight forward. You're going to put your arm in forward in front of your head. So Kayla, let's use you for a second. You're going to get over here, all right? Head's going to stay down here, same way it was in the last drill. All right, this arm now is going to reach over. Your elbow's going to be in front of your ear. This hand is almost going to be touching the other hand in the water, and you're going to feel this side stretching down here. All right, so we're going to go 12 kicks in this position. Then you're going to switch from your hip. Hip's going to move first as you start this arm backwards, okay? Now the main idea of this drill is to get the weight balanced forward so the hips are up. Hips are up and the hand is forward. When she switches, she's going to switch from the hips before the hand moves. Notice that the elbow's in front of the ear and she's stretching down the side. As she's coming back here, notice she's got a nice straight body line all the way down through her toes. She's trying to minimize the lift of the head when she breathes. Got her elbows stretching down her side. This is a difficult drill for novice swimmers, but if they get this, it makes a huge change in the weight distribution. Ladies, next drill is zipper drill. We're going to concentrate on staying on our side, just like you were in the first two drills, ear inside the shoulder. And what we're going to concentrate on doing is having the recovery right directly above the body on your side. We call it zipper drill because we're going to take our thumb as we finish our stroke down here. We're going to drag the thumb all the way up our body, right up the sideline of our body until our thumb is in our armpit. At the point that our thumb is in our armpit, we're going to switch from the hips and then start the other arm and into that next stroke. Everybody got it? We're going to do it on both sides. First time down, we're going to go 6 kick switch. Take 6 kicks before we switch. When we come back, all right, we're going to do it normal freestyle tempo without waiting for the 6 kicks. Everybody understand? Okay, let's get in and do it. She's concentrating and staying on her side as she recovers, dragging her thumb right up the sideline of her body. When her hand gets up to her armpit, she's switching from her hips and switching quickly onto the other side. On that previous length, she was doing 6 kick switch. Now she's going to eliminate waiting for the 6 kicks. And she's just swimming. Again, working on great balance. Swimming in a narrow lane, trying to get a nice narrow approach to the body as it moves through the water. Ladies, you did a really nice job on the zipper drill. Now we're going to do the next step in the progression, which is finger drag. Okay? All we're going to do is take our hand off of our body, keep our hand right close to your body, and I'm going to drag the fingertips, right, of each hand right through the water all the way back to the front. Right? And again, when the hand gets up into this position, right opposite your eyes, right, at that point you're going to switch from the hips and start the other hand. Right? Now when you're doing this, remember to concentrate, right, elbow up, fingers down. Gina, let me see your hand for a second. Remember, when we're pulling, all right, we want fingers down. We want to get in this early, all right, vertical forearm position. All right, so this whole thing gets on pressure on the water. Got it? Okay, leave your elbow up, pull my hand. All right, good. The other arm, please. Elbow up, pull my hand. Good. Okay. Kayla's doing 6 kick switch, finger drag going down. It's just the next step in the progression, making it look a whole lot more like real freestyle. She's going completely side to side. Fingertips are dragging through the water, and she's switching from the hip at the same spot. When the hand passes the armpit, at that point she switches from the hip and starts the hand backward. Now Michaela's doing regular finger drag here, regular tempo. One of the things that we use this for is lots of times with novice swimmers, even when they're in a competition, in a race, we'll have them swim finger drag so they stay controlled and don't get wild with their stroke. Now ladies, the last thing we're going to do, all right, in this sequence is we're going to go slow motion freestyle. So one of the questions you'd probably want to ask is, why are we going to go slow motion when we're trying to swim fast? So let's start with a simple question. Kayla, how long have you been walking?
16 years.
16 years. That's pretty good. Are you pretty good at walking?
Yeah.
You have real talent for it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're pretty capable at it? Yeah. What about you, Gina? Are you a pretty good walker?
Yeah.
Yeah? But now, Kayla, let me ask you a question. If we were walking slow motion, what would your body do differently?
Wobble.
It'd wobble, right? It would be a little bit harder to balance. That makes sense? So what we're going to do is when we get in the water, we're going to swim slow motion so we can concentrate on where our balance problems are, right, and be able to correct them. Okay? Sound good? All right, let's get in. Now we're doing regular freestyle swimming, but we're trying to work on slow motion. And the reason we do slow motion, we end almost every practice doing slow motion, because it's important to get balance as we're doing this, and people cover lack of balance or imbalance with motion. And when we go slow motion, you can feel every little balance problem you have. And what we're looking for when we look at this kind of slow motion is perfect balance side to side, and looking to see that her hips are riding naturally high in the water, so she can concentrate her leg energy, driving that body line forward and not having to hold it up. She's doing a beautiful job with this. In backstroke, as in all the strokes, we want to make sure that every drill we do has a particular purpose. The 4 purposes we're going to concentrate on backstroke are going to be, number 1, body position, making sure that we are rolling to both sides equally, so our hips are rolling and our shoulders are rolling. The second point we're going to emphasize is having our head absolutely still, right, back of our head lined up with our spine. The third point we're going to emphasize is where the hands go in the water, little finger first, right outside the shoulder, so that they can get a good deep catch and entry on the water. The last thing we're going to work on is great kicking, because every great backstroker has a great kick. We want to be able to hold the body nice and still, right, and be able to drive the energy from the legs all the way up through the line of the body. So those are our 4 key points for backstroke. Ladies, we're going to start out with our backstroke drills doing kicking. We're going to do some streamline kicking, and then we're going to do some fashion model backstroke. Okay, so on streamline kicking, all we're going to do is get up a nice streamline position, one hand locked on top of the other, thumb locked up in here. arms against the back of the head, nice and streamlined. We're going to kick in that position, okay? Now second, Kayla, come on over here. We're going to do what I call fashion model backstroke, all right? The guys really love this, you know that, right? You've seen the guys do this before. You're going to slink down the runway in Paris, and you're going to roll the body, hips and shoulder, so the shoulder rolls into the chin, then back to the other side. So we're going to go 6 kicks on this side, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slink to the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, keeping our head nice and still. Got it, ladies? All right, let's get in the water. When we're doing streamlined backstroke kick, this drill is as much about keeping the head still as it is about the kicking. Holding the body line nice and straight, putting enough tension through the core of the body that the energy being used by the kick or generated by the kick can go forward into the hands. We want a nice straight line up the body. She's doing a nice job with this, keeping her head absolutely still. Coming back, she's doing a version of the kicking drill called fashion model backstroke, where she's rolling her shoulder and her hips over onto the side into her chin. Rolling the chin to the shoulder, the shoulder to the chin, trying to avoid moving the chin to the shoulder. She's doing a pretty nice job of this. She's trying to do 6 kicks on each side. Hands are at her side so that her body can roll. Ladies did a nice job with the kicking drill. Next thing we're going to do is do a little bit of one-arm backstroke. Now there's many different things we can do with one-arm backstroke. We're going to concentrate on some simple ones. Number 1, keep your head still. All right, very good. Keep that head still. Number 2 is, as we do one-arm backstroke, we're going to roll from our shoulders and our hips, okay? Third thing we're going to do is concentrate. When this hand goes back here, we're going to go in the water right behind the shoulder, little finger first, wrist straight, elbow straight. Rolling, getting that hand down deep. Okay? One-arm backstroke, we're going to work one direction with just one arm. Coming back, we're going to go 3 left, 3 right. We'll make sure we're concentrating on rolling to both directions equally. All set? Okay, let's get it. Gina's doing one-arm backstroke. She's going to go half the pool right arm, then half the pool left arm. That very nice hand entry, little finger going in right outside the shoulder, line of the shoulder. Her left hand, you can see she's overreaching just a little bit, getting back behind her ear, reaching a tad too far, which is going to make her hip swing. Returning, and she's going to go 3 left, 3 right, concentrating on keeping equal body roll to both sides, getting the non-working shoulder out of the water, rolling the shoulder and the hips into the chin. That's a pretty nice job. 3-3 with good rhythm and a nice pull underwater. Ladies, that one-arm backstroke drill worked on your entries pretty well. You did a nice job with that. Now we're going to do a little bit of underwater backstroke and work on your exits. So what I want you to concentrate on doing is the hip's going to roll out. You're going to take that hand, all right, come right out past the hip. All right, thumb first, going to come halfway up, just like this, till you're looking straight up your shoulder, all right, to your elbow, to your thumb, all right, and then you're going to bring that arm back down, put it back in the water right where it came out, sneak it forward, take a nice big pull down here, finish with the thumb coming out right next to the thigh again. Important points to remember: get the thigh out, all right, rolling ahead of where the hand exits. Hand exits thumb first, and we're looking right up the arm at the thumb in the middle of the recovery. We're going to stop in the middle of the recovery. Everybody understand? Okay, let's get in and we'll do it. This is another drill we use called underwater backstroke. What she's going to do is she's going to reach forward underwater, curl the arm around, get a hold of it. Going to concentrate on the exit, fast hands coming out past her hips. So her hip rolls, and she comes out thumb first, right past her hip. And the idea here is to lead the hand out with the hip. She's going to recover halfway, thumb coming out first, right next to her hip. She rolls the hip. The hand exits, comes out of the water fast, up halfway, curls around underwater. Gets a nice pull, hip out, thumb out first. Drills always have to fit into whole stroke backstroke, so you always want to make sure you end the drill session doing a little bit of whole stroke and see how you did. We've done a nice job, obviously, with these drills, getting her head still. Got her hands going in out right just on the shoulder line, that's good. Little finger going in first. She's rolling a little bit better onto her right side than she is on her left side. You'll notice here that Gina rolls a little bit better to her right than she does to her left. She's right-handed, and that's not unusual for kids to roll better to one side than they do to the other. What you're trying to do with a lot of that one-arm drilling is to get them to roll equally to both sides so the stroke is balanced. But she's got a beautiful still head and a great hand entry. Breaststroke is an unusual stroke because over the years many variations have been successful. Even at the Olympic Games, if we look across 8 lanes, we might see 6 different styles of breaststroke swimming. So one of the important decisions we make as a novice coach is what style of breaststroke are we going to teach? I made the decision a long time ago to teach classic breaststroke, and those are the things we're going to show you with drills today. One of the first things we're going to concentrate on in our drills is getting a strong, effective kick. The second thing we're going to think about is what does the pull look like and how can we shape that pull to most effectively move forward through the water. Probably the single most important thing in breaststroke is making sure we connect the pull and the kick with perfect timing. And the last thing we'll work on is head position, making sure we've got the back of the head lined up with the spine so we can keep our hips high in the water in a nice streamlined body position throughout as much of the stroke as possible. So those are our keys when we work on our breaststroke drills coming up. Ladies, our first set of drills is going to focus on your legs. All right, focus on kicking properly. We're going to do kicking in 3 positions. First is going to be on your stomach. All right, hands out in front like this, head down between. Gina, if I can get you to get in proper position, we're going to kick as much as we can in this position. When you need your breath, just pick your head up, put it right back down. So we're going to kick a locked up, nice streamlined position. All right, second position we're going to kick in is going to be breaststroke kick on our stomach, but our hands are going to be down here. We're going to bring our heels up, kick our fingertips. All right, so we know we're getting the heels up on the kick. That make sense to everybody? All right, third one we're going to do is we're going to kick on our back. When we kick on our back, we're going to have our hands down at our side, and we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to concentrate on keeping our knees under the surface of the water so we keep a nice straight line down the front of our body. Everybody understand? We're going to kick in 3 breaststroke positions, 3 separate drills. Okay, let's go. Michaela's starting with the first of our 3 kicking drills. Got her face down between the arms, streamline. Concentrate on kicking around, squeezing, get the maximum distance out of each kick, keeping her hips on the surface. When she needs to breathe, she just lifts the head an inch or 2, right back into the drill again. Second breaststroke kick drill she's going to do is designed to make sure the heels are coming all the way up, getting the maximum kick. She's got her hands back by her hips. She's going to kick her fingertips. Notice that her head is still down. Kick the fingertips before she starts the kick, so we know she's pulling that kick all the way up, pulling the legs all the way up to start the kick. Gina's doing a great job here of keeping her knees underwater while she finishes her breaststroke kick. The purpose of this drill is to make sure we keep a nice straight line down the torso, past the knees, so when she turns over on her stomach and she's swimming breaststroke, she's not dropping her knees under her body. Doing a pretty good job with this. As children get tired, they'll begin to pull those knees up, and you can see that here. Her knees come closer and closer to breaking the surface. Ladies did a nice job on the kicking drills. Now we're going to concentrate on pulling. All right? We always want to start our pull with the hands in the same place. Index fingers together, palms out, elbows nice and straight. Step back just a little bit. All right, now what Michaela's going to do is she's going to press the hands out wider than her elbows. Going to leave her elbows up, turn her fingers down, sweep in. When the hands come under the elbows, she's going to squeeze the elbows under her chin, come forward and recover. So we want to always start in the same spot right here, out in front, down deep, press wide, elbows up, turn the fingers down, pull in, sweep, recover. Make sense? Gina, you come over here, let's have you try it. Palms press out, press on my hands, great. Now I'm going to put my fingers in here. You're going to keep your elbows up, turn the fingers down, come in. Now when the hands get under the elbows, squeeze the elbows under the chin, and we recover back to the starting position, index fingers together, palms pressing out. All right, the other important thing to remember, ladies, is when we get out here on the corner, we want the hands vertical, palm out, little finger up, thumb down. Make sense to everybody? Okay, let's get in and try it. Okay, Michaela's doing our first pulling drill, which is breaststroke pull with a freestyle kick. The reason we use the freestyle kick is to help her lunge forward, right, and get some speed with those hands as they go back into the recovery. You'll notice that she's got her head down most of the stroke, a little spot there where she looks forward to get her breath, and she's pushing the hands out nice and wide, fronting them wide as she pulls. Kayla's doing breaststroke pull with a freestyle kick here at a faster tempo, trying to keep her arms moving continuously. Use her freestyle kick to help drive the hand speed going forward. She's doing a great job of keeping her face down as she's doing this pulling at a nice fast tempo. Pressing nice and wide with the palms, pulling in hard underneath and accelerating the hands to the fingers. Ladies, that was a good job. We got competent kick going. We've got some competent pulling. Now we're going to work on one of the most important parts of breaststroke, and that's the timing. And the timing we want to accomplish today in our drills is we're going to kick, stretch out, and then pull. I also think of it as kicking a needle and pulling a needle. So when we're kicking, we're in this nice streamlined position. All right, head down. We're going to finish that kick. All right, and then we're going to open up and start the pull. As we finish the pull, the legs are going to be coming up to recover, and we're back to streamline again. All right, so we're going to go kick, stretch, and pull. We're going to separate the two, all right, with a little beat in between. All right, and then eventually when you start to race, we're going to eliminate that beat in between. Kick, stretch, and pull. This is a good timing drill. Ready? Okay, let's get in. Michaela's doing 3-count stretch going forward. She stretches, counts to 3, then starts her pull. Kick, stretch, pull. Kick, stretch, pull. Separating the kick and the stretch here by a 3-count. That was maybe a little quick, might have been a 2-count, but it was pretty good. This is a 1-count hold. She's going kick, stretch out, count to 1, and then separate her hands. 1-count hold. You'll see people even at the Olympic trials going out, kick, stretch, pull to conserve some energy. You go almost as fast as you do whole stroke swimming. Ladies, once you've got good timing in breaststroke and you can kick, stretch, and pull, the last thing to work on is getting your head position so you're breathing down right close to the water. You don't need to breathe through the hole in your chest. You don't need to pop very high out of the water to get your breath. You want to breathe right there in that ½ inch of air above the water so we can keep the back of our head right here lined up with our spine. So we want the face right down here in the water, right, so that you're looking down the whole time, and then your hips will be where? Hips will be up nice and high. Want to keep the hips high during the stroke. Ready to try it? Okay, let's go. One of the last things we focus on is trying to keep a straight line down the back of the head, down the spine, so the hips stay up. So we're trying to lock the head down and just have the breath be taken in the ½ inch of air right above the water. In teaching butterfly to novice swimmers, there are 3 things we emphasize, and we're going to emphasize each of them during our stroke drills. The first is that it's a body stroke and a body roll stroke and not a leg stroke. We want to concentrate on pressing the chest down, getting the hips go up when the hands go in. Second thing we're going to focus on is the hand entry position, which should be outside the shoulders so the hands can sweep in and then sweep out. The third thing we'll focus on, as we do with all the strokes, is the breathing position, making sure the back of the head stays lined up with the spine and the breath is taken to a downward look in a downward position. So we've got 3 keys to butterfly. That's what we're going to work on during our drills. Okay, gentlemen, what we're going to do is start our fly drills with kicking. And one of the most important things you want to think about with kicking is every time the kick stays the same. All right, we call this the amplitude of the wave, how high your hips go, all right, how low your knees go. We want to hold that amplitude the same. We're going to kick in 3 different positions. We're going to kick on each side. All right, so side kick fly is one, kicking on your back is the other, kicking on your stomach is the third. We're going to be streamlined on our back, streamlined on our side, on our front, and when we're on our side, we're going to have one arm out in front, one arm down along our legs. Ready to try it? Okay, let's hop in and we'll try it. Matthew streamlines off the wall, turns onto his right side, kicking both directions, ear right down, attached to his arm, switches to the other side. So now his left leg is lower, feeling the water on both sides of his leg. That's why we kick on the sides, to get to feel the water on both sides. Back now. Fly kicking on his back. Again, this works the upbeat of the kick, which is usually the weaker part of the kick for most swimmers, especially novice swimmers. Halfway down here, he's going to turn onto his stomach as soon as he remembers. There we go. Now he's got a beautiful amplitude, same amplitude of the kick, back and front. 360 kicking, constantly changing position, keeping the amplitude of the kick the same, and steady kicking. You'll notice that Alex is doing a great job because he's not stopping kicking during the transitions. He's kicking right through the transition from position to position. Beautiful. Now, even though Matthew's not yet a long body, you can see how well people can kick just by coordinating their hip speed, staying streamlined, and he does a great job here kicking as he moves, changes from position to position. A lot of young novice swimmers especially will stop kicking when they're changing position and then start kicking again. Matthew's doing a great job of keeping it going. The second drill is going to be simply a timing drill. We're just going to go one arm fly. We do one arm fly and lots of permutations and commutations, and it's all about getting your hips up when your hand goes in. So as soon as that hand reaches out, Matthew, this way, you want to be concentrating on face down, popping your hips up, okay? As soon as the hand enters, hand goes in, hips go up. Ready to try this? Okay, let's hop in. Alex doing the most important drill for fly now. We're doing one arm fly. Important thing with this drill is hand goes in, hips go up. He's going to work to both sides. He's going to be breathing right now on the side. In a second, he's going to show you breathing to the front. But when the young people start out doing this drill, sometimes it's easier to breathe to the side. But we'll transition it now to breathe to the front just as he would in real fly. One arm fly, you'll notice he's breathing every other stroke. He's got his arm out front, which is one technique. We're going to show you another here in just a second. When he has his arm out front, it dampens the amplitude of the wave and how far he can press his chest down. Keeps that stroke a little bit flatter. That was good. Okay, now Matthew's using a slightly different technique because he's got his non-working arm at his side. And the idea of doing that is now he can press his chest down a little bit deeper. So both those drills are useful because sometimes you got young people who can't get the roll of the body. It's easier to start out teaching with what Matthew's doing right now with his hand down at the side. You notice the little finger comes out first. Hand is going in front of the shoulder. And now Matthew's breathing to the front. Mouth low over the water for that breath. Your one arm fly drill is in good order. Now we're going to start to do something a little bit different. We're going to go 3 left arms, 3 right arms, and then 3 whole strokes. Some of the time when we're going one arm, we want to be breathing out to the side because it's a little more relaxed for you. But when we swim whole stroke, we've got to breathe to the front. All right, so we want to concentrate on doing both things during this drill. We're going to spend some of the time breathing to the side on the one arm, and then when we go to the 3 part where we're going whole stroke, we're going to breathe to the front. Ready to go? Yep. Okay, let's hop in and try it. Next step in this progression is he's going to go 3 left, 1, 2, 3. Switch arms, keep the hips going. 1, 2, 3. Now he's going to take 3 double strokes. 1, 2, 3. And he's going to take a breath on the double stroke. And Matthew is still breathing to the side, and Alex is still breathing to the side, and he's still got the hand out in front. Same thing coming back. That was perfect. Now notice that the little finger's coming out first, arm is low and flat over the water. And every time that hand goes up, his hips pop up out of the water. Notice again where the hand is going in the water, straight out in front of the shoulder. Index finger in first. Hands in, hips up. Beautiful breathing. Breathing in the middle stroke of each cycle.
Come on.